What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another spring practice report. If you guys are watching this, you'll see the image here on the video. I'm having some issues with my video camera today, but I did not want to deprive you guys of another spring practice report episode, as there's some fairly interesting stuff with Florida, Georgia, UCF, all kicking off. Arizona State as well, but there's not a lot of news coming out of Arizona State right now, so we'll probably more about them tomorrow. Some very interesting teams kicking off spring practice today, along with some other teams that kicked off their practice yesterday. So we are going to take a dive around the country to discuss the spring practice reports. As always, I am your host, Matt Bruning. You can find me at SportsmanNB on Twitter. I am one of the co-founders of CampusToCanton.com. All right, and we're going to start here at Auburn. Auburn had their practice kick off yesterday. There was not a lot of news that came out beforehand, but some has come out after this point, and we are, again, only one practice in the books here for the Auburn Tigers. But it was a crazy offseason for them. Brian Harsin went from guarantees of being the starter toward it flipping toward him seeming to get fired for what seemed like weeks to almost a month at one point, to then again a point where he seemed like he could not be fired at all and is now back with the team and I guess should be happy about it. He did go out and deliver a message of hope at practice Monday and about them and the team moving forward. There was not really a lot that came out on this, though. They did run some QB drills. Hank Bigsby was running with TJ Finley, Demarius Davis, and Jarquez Hunter were running with Robbie Ashford and Sean Jackson. Coach Harsin did address the quarterback competition and saying that it is an open competition between all of them. They're all going to get reps. Not to read too much into if one player gets more reps one practice and the other the next. He's not planning on naming a starter anytime soon and is likely not going to name one before we even get to the summer. However, he does want to point out that if one of these guys really starts to take a step ahead of these other guys and starts to show leadership and really takes control of this team and the practices, then they will lean toward that guy, but did want to reiterate multiple times in this press conference that this is a wide open competition. You know, TJ Finley looked good at times last year. I'll be honest, I don't know much about Sean Jackson. And obviously Robbie Ashford, the transfer from Oregon, was a kid that a lot of people liked there, was really kind of committed to baseball and football at one point in time, solely dedicated himself to football. We'll see if he's able to do anything here at Auburn, but a very interesting QB competition too. I think, honestly, with this room, you know, I don't know that TJ Finley has been locked in as the starter for this team based on what he has done in the past. So I do think there's a chance that Robbie Ashford is able to take this job regardless. Open competition in Auburn. Seen a lot of that lately, a lot of open quarterback competitions. Very intrigued to see where this goes for Auburn. Next up, SMU, and I'm going to be honest, I was not really going to take a look at them today, but late last night, Ulysses Bentley entered the transfer portal. Rumors have been TCU and Ole Miss, but a lot of sources are saying there's a better shot he goes to Ole Miss than TCU. There have been a lot of rumors about possibly Kamar Wheaton making his way to SMU. He is currently in the transfer portal after it not working out for him at Alabama. Nothing has been substantiated or it really is substantial at this point outside of just rumors. Levine has been running with the ones as Trey Siggers is out with an injury. So as of right now, that will continue with Levine running with the ones and should be considered the starting running back for SMU again as of now, March 15th. The battle does continue as well for the starting quarterback, though they are taking a break this week for spring break. Lashley doesn't have any connections to either one of these QBs. So I don't want it to look like Mordecai or Tanner Mordecai should just be considered a shoo-in. They've discussed wanting to run a no-huddle offense so that the QBs who shows the ability to do that and the leadership to not always have to look at the sidelines will be crucial. And that came from the offensive coordinator and Rhett Lashley. There was a lot of talk, though, of course, about how great Mordecai was last year and the stats he put up. But they did go on and discuss how Preston Stone is showing leadership in camp. I don't know that this is necessarily a QB battle just based on how good Mordecai was from a statistical purpose last year. But I do think he's likely the leader. And I will say that head coach Rhett Lashley did talk about that. He said there's always going to be a leader in the camp, but that doesn't mean that he's necessarily the winner of the job. So there's a leader, and then there's going to be a winner. Obviously, I think Mordecai probably is a couple steps ahead of Stone just because of the season he had last year and the leadership and just the experience he has at being a quarterback. But I do think if he struggles, which they had a great season last year. I believe only one loss until they just got blown out by Cincinnati. If they struggle early on in this season, I would not be surprised if we see Preston Stone. But if I had to guess right now, I'm still thinking Mordecai wins the job. We talked about this last week's episode, the big difference between the two of them in C2C drafts. I'd still bet on Preston Stone with how much later he's going. I think I'd rather take the value there in him. Next up, we're going to go to Florida, who did kick off its spring practice today with new head coach Billy Napier at the helm. We know we've got a very interesting QB battle here as well. Emory Jones is back. He entered the transfer portal. We all thought for sure he was gone and then ended up coming back after Billy Napier came over to Florida. We've also got Anthony Richardson and Ohio State transfer Jack Miller, who was kind of picked by Billy Napier, and there's been a lot of interesting thoughts on Jack Miller coming to Florida. As of right now, most of the talk about what happened at practice today was about Anthony Richardson. Reports were that he looked very good. He was practicing without a brace as well, which is good, shows sign of him recovering from his injury. Richardson did have a nice pass to Marcus Burke, whom many hope will be a breakout this year for the Gators as well, while also working on swing passes with the RBs, including one to DeMarcus Bowman, which was circulating around on Twitter. Bowman and Johnson are getting a lot of love this year in C2C drafts and CFF drafts. I'm going to be very curious to see how that breaks out throughout spring camp. Again, not much talked about, was just day one. This will be a team that we'll monitor over the next couple days, as they've got 3 practices coming up this week that are all open to the media and the public. So we should get a lot of reports early on of what these guys look like here at Florida. So I'm excited over the next couple days to see what happens there. Next, we're going to head to Georgia, the defending national champions, who also opened up spring practice today. They did not, however, open up their spring practice to the media or the public. So all we got were some clips from head coach Kirby Smart, but I do think they're important, and that's why I wanted to touch on them today. And we're going to start with the athletic freak, Arik Gilbert. He came into college as a top-rated tight end ever and dealt with some off-field issues, switching to multiple schools and positions before being settled in at Georgia this offseason. While all the talk is he was going to play wide receiver, Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington are out for the entirety of spring with injuries, and it seems like Gilbert, at least for now, will be getting reps at tight end. This is from head coach Kirby Smart. Eric's done a great job integrating back to the team. He's been here for a while now. He's done the work that we've asked, and he's doing well academically. Add on the address, he addresses the burden of expectation that's been put on recruits, saying that Arik has been somebody that has carried a lot of expectations every step of the way since the moment he stepped on the field. He's fortunate he's going to get a lot of reps with the 2 guys currently out. That's how he ended his talk on Gilbert. To me, that is indicating that he's going to be playing at tight end for practice. I mean, those are the 2 guys that are out for this team right now, Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington. Now, does that mean he will stick at tight end for the season? I do not know. There's a lot of people, including myself, who do not think Gilbert is really going to work out at wide receiver. If he gets a shot here in spring to kind of play at tight end, maybe he looks really good and Georgia is able to convince him to stay at tight end. I think that's his best shot at getting really good draft capital. And I'm going to be honest, if you see him do that, I think at this point in C2C leagues, I'm going to try and move him, because I just don't know if it's going to work out. There's been so much against him, but I am rooting for him just for that reason. There's been so much against this kid. I'd love to see him kind of turn it all around and make it all work out for him. On the QB battles here, Kirby Smart said, we're looking to develop all 4 of them. The biggest challenge for us in this spring is to get reps to develop. I'm big on challenging our staff to be creative and getting these guys reps to develop. Just kept hitting home, develop. There were some things that came out that Brock Vandagriff was looking good. I don't know if that's just because he's a 5-star guy, and it seems like there's just that group that loves to hype him up. But obviously, they also will have practice open here in the next couple of days to the media and the public, so we'll be able to get more news out of Georgia then. Last but not least, not much to touch on here, but I just wanted to mention UCF did start their practice today as well. There wasn't much that came out of this outside of apparently QB Mikey Keene, who is in a battle with 3 other quarterbacks. looked really good on day one. Wide receiver Ryan O'Keefe looked good as well. He was out discussing the change in attitude and energy this year in spring compared to last for UCF. So that will do it for us today. Another quick spring practice report. We're getting into more and more schools opening up their spring reports. We'll definitely dive back in, hopefully, to some more Georgia and Florida talk tomorrow if we're able to get some more reports out of there. Again, Arizona State opened up theirs today. There's a lot of questions about what's going on at Arizona State, right? With Jaden Daniels transferring out. So we'll definitely take a look at them as well. A lot of teams taking off this week for spring break. So we are going to dive deeper and deeper into these as more and more information comes out. And we've got obviously some spring games kicking off this week as well. As I mentioned in yesterday's episode with Georgia Tech Thursday and Missouri on Saturday. I would like to say lastly, if you guys missed it, check out the YouTube show from last night. We announced our new launch website and all kinds of different stuff with it. We've got 3 new tiers with all kinds of stuff with it. If you guys are listening to this and you play college fantasy football, and for whatever reason you haven't subscribed to the website, do it now. We've got some great promotions going on. If you lock in at the $29.99 a year, you have to pay the yearly rate. You will be grandfathered into tier 2, which is $49.99 a year. For the rest of your life, for the rest of the time you want to be a subscriber to our website. You will also get one of our 3 guides that we'll be releasing every single year for free. However, I will be honest, in my opinion, the best deal we have is the NIL tier because you get all 3 guides, which are each a $20 value of each. So that's $60 right there. And our NIL tier is $79.99 a year. So realistically, if you wanted to pay for all 3 guides, you got all 3 of them, and then your yearly membership to us only costs $19.99 if you added everything together with the NIL. So that is completely personalized to you and your experience. We are going to dedicate ourselves to everybody in that NIL tier, weekly calls with you, discussions, everything. There's a whole lot of stuff. Check it out on the website if you guys want. We'd really appreciate any support and any support you've given us, even just listening to these shows. We really do appreciate it. So that will do it for me today. On Tuesday, March 15th, we'll be back again tomorrow with more spring practice reports.